The slideshow that you saw before this lecture was purposely put together as an example of how we can use images to portray health and participation. And there was music that was, original music that went with this. So later on, if you'd like to hear that, you can hear that as well. So we're going to start on an adventure here. And I know I'll try to talk a little bit slower. I have a very fast pace, so how many people are okay with me speaking? Okay, good. Go faster? Do fast speed. Okay. In 1922, the Fred Stone Circus came to the Mineola Fairgrounds for the benefit of the Occupational Therapy Association in New York. So Mineola's in New York. You may wonder how a circus can promote occupational therapy. Anybody wonder about that? Yeah, what does that have to do with anything? Well, if you painted a sign saying the Fred Stone Circus is coming to Mineola Fairground on Saturday at 2:15, rain or shine, for the benefit of the Occupational Therapy Society of New York, that's called advertising. If you put a sign on the back of the elephant, and a very famous American heroine of that time, this is 1922, this is Annie Oakley. Did anybody ever hear of Annie Oakley? She's a sharpshooter. In the US, she's very cool. She's cool even now. And she takes the elephant and walks it into Mineola, New York. That's called promotion. Now, if the elephant is naughty and walks through the mayor's flower bed, that's called publicity. And if you get the mayor to laugh about it and talk about it, that's called public relations. If you tell your friend Nancy about the circus, that's called word of mouth. And if you plan this chain of events, you've promoted occupational therapy through words, images, and actions. So we're going to fast forward to now, 2012. And the ways that information flows through societal networks has really evolved considerably. And now you'd also use social media to promote your society circus. So we'd use outlets like Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and YouTube and Pinterest to promote the event. You'd probably create a Facebook site and ask people to let their friends know about the fundraising event for the Occupational Therapy Society of New York. On LinkedIn, you probably might start a discussion about getting more sponsors for the event, because this is a fundraiser for occupational therapy. You might make a YouTube video of the elephant and Annie Oakley, and Annie will even wear a t-shirt that says, "I love OT." Not far-fetched. You'll probably have a Twitter or a tweet that will say, "Post your pic with Annie Oakley 1860 and the elephant, #OT Circus." Such a scenario like this fits really any health profession. But I think you're getting the point about how we can use social media to promote occupational therapy or any health profession. We live in a world of limitless resources. They're actually limited. Would you say that? Do we have limitless resources? No. They're really limited resources. I was seeing if anybody was paying attention to me. We live in a world of limited resources that are technologically complex, economically competitive, and growing more politically accountable, with consumer power on the rise. The good news is that this world has limited opportunities for healthcare professionals, Would you agree with that? Do you feel like there's limitless opportunities for you? Some? I challenge you that you have limitless opportunities if you think a little bit differently. We have to be very aggressive in what we do. We have to be aggressive in supporting and advocating for scientific inquiry and pragmatic investigations that build on each of our profession's evidence-based body of knowledge, and we must participate in strategic partnerships and interprofessional teams to improve the quality of life for those people we serve. And one of the things that I've seen since my time, this time, in Israel, that at Ono Academic College, the interprofessional education is striking. It's fabulous. And I can't say that that's happening in the United States in all of our programs. So I want to commend Ono for their interprofessional education and teamwork. Now, we can reach, each of us, this envisioned future of being powerful, of making sure that people know who we are and are willing to pay for our services by promoting our profession through words, images, and actions. Daniel Davenport wrote, "The greatest problem with communication is the illusion that it has been accomplished." This means two things. One, we can't assume that our beliefs are known by an audience. And two, we cannot assume that our beliefs are shared by the audience. So let me tell you a funny story now about words. And this humorous cautionary tale surfaced during the American Occupational Therapy Association's National Awareness Campaign. And it speaks about the dangers of not considering alternative ways of interpreting our words. AOTA set up a toll-free telephone number that used real words. It was 1-800-6-OT-TALK. What they failed to consider, however, was that some people might interpret the O as a 0, not recognizing that the abbreviation was OT. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Unfortunately, this mistake was quite glaring, since the 1-800-6-0-T connected callers to a sex line in Florida. It could change the face of the profession. We are health communicators, and the words that we use are important. And I quote, "As we share health-related information with the goal of influencing, engaging, and supporting individuals, community, health professionals, special interest groups, policymakers, and the public to champion, introduce, adopt, sustain a behavior, practice, or policy that will ultimately improve their health condition." You heard the word champion. This is asking our consumers to do that, and in that, they will be championing our professions. We need to communicate the value of our professions. The value of our profession. Why do we benefit from our professions? What we do, how we do it, and how well we do it needs to always be communicated. That means using our science and our evidence to clearly demonstrate what we do, why it matters, and how we can serve the needs of society and make a difference in people's lives. Do you think we do that? Do we make a difference in people's lives? Make noise. Do you like that? Come on. Yes. As health professionals, we must take this message even further using our words, images, and our actions in our daily communication. We need to create personal and memorable connections with our clients and potential clients. And that's not just an individual, it could be populations of people. How do we tailor our words, images, and actions to meet the needs of various audiences? One important fact to keep in mind when we're tailoring communication is the extent of demographics and psychographic information, as well as behavioral factors such as beliefs, attitudes towards healthcare, medical risk factors, health knowledge, skills, resources, and barriers to health affecting the audience's response. And this was described in a book called Tailoring Health Communication. Renowned occupational therapist Gary Kielhofner, who is no longer with us, wrote, and I quote, "The ultimate rationale for the value of any service is that it legitimately addresses identified client needs. In order to effectively respond to consumers' needs, we must have a true, and I quote, true and deep understanding of who they are, what they want, and what they aspire to be." The good news for all of us is that we've always been consumer-centric. Whether you're an amateur shutterbug, an accomplished photographer, or simply appreciate art, I'm sure you're familiar with this following statement, which is, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." A complex idea can be conveyed with just one image, and you saw that earlier before I started speaking. We can use images to convey the power of participation in society as a bridge to health and independence for people regardless of their age or ability. Just imagine if we had a traveling exhibit of our photos that appear in public places, high visibility venues in Israel. Why can't we have an exhibit at the Knesset? Anybody have a connection there? Why can't we have an exhibit at the airport about health professionals, in schools, in libraries? Putting images in the public's eye helps illustrate what we do and its value. Our everyday actions, what we do, can promote our professions and help create new opportunities so that we are, in Israeli society, widely recognized. Although I'll be sharing mostly occupational therapy examples here, where are our non-OTs? Raise your hand. Non-OTs? A few. Oh, Elliot, you're an honorary OT. I think that you'll find that these examples really fit any profession, health profession. So today, we have new and powerful tools of social media to help promote our profession. It's been over 5 years since there's been a fundamental shift in using social media to reach large audiences. How many of you are on Facebook? How many of you are on LinkedIn? I know Twitter is not as popular here. Some people are on Twitter. How many of you are on Pinterest? Okay, just a few. We'll tell you, Pinterest has become the hottest social media in the States. It's pretty amazing. But, and I'll tell you more about that later. So even if you personally haven't set up a Facebook or a Twitter account or Pinterest or LinkedIn, you will find that people are using this on a regular basis. Even if you do not have a smartphone, and in Israel I think just about everybody has smartphones. That's not true in the US. But if you haven't set up some of those social media, your clients have, your prospective or current ones certainly have. I would guess that members of the Knesset have Facebook. Is that true? Absolutely. And billions of other people have. So you've got to jump on board. Even the president. Ooh, is he on Twitter? But on Facebook, I'm gonna friend him. We'll see if he likes me. According to the Pew Internet Research Center, 65% of internet users are social media users. These are not just students accessing social media outlets with smartphones or iPads or notebook computers while sitting in coffee shops. Social media is used by everybody, and I love using the example of my father. We set up a computer for my father, and we'll call and we'll say, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm Googling." We don't know what he's Googling, but he's Googling all the time. He actually has Pandora Radio. Do you have Pandora Radio here? It's an online radio station, and he has an online radio station on his computer as well. He's going to be 87. Pretty amazing. These new opportunities provide us with a very powerful means to amplify each of our profession's societal footprints. And the rather amazing part of this is that each of these new tools are both democratized and personalized. Anyone can become an advocate and can reach out to potentially a global audience. Take, for example, the Occupational Therapy Global Day of Service that took place on February 25th. I will be spending time later on really going into this because it is a wonderful case study of promoting occupational therapy and any health profession or any profession or cause using the internet. So what I'm saying is that these days, learning to use and apply the tools of communication, marketing, promotion is as vital to being a good health professional as keeping up with the evidence literature and best practice. It's another tool that needs to be in our toolkit. So when I use the word marketing, do you see advertisements on billboards? Do you see perhaps a TV commercial? Do you maybe hear in your mind's eye a radio commercial? This billboard that you're seeing here was in Times Square in New York. You saw it? Promoting occupational therapy. Couldn't you do this in Israel? Absolutely. So, Philip Kotler, one of the most renowned contemporary authors on marketing, defines marketing as, and I quote, "the human activity directed at satisfying needs and wants through an exchange process." Marketing develops markets, and that's consumers. Promotion, on the other hand, keeps our products, our services in the minds of our audiences and helps stimulate the demand for our services. Promotion is really about getting someone interested in what you do so that they'll promote it for you. Okay, does that make sense? And it's a really important difference. So what I'm saying here is that we use marketing principles designed to promote ideas. For example, we can say occupational therapy is a great profession. There are so many opportunities for it. Enroll in an OT program and get a career of a lifetime. A great way of promoting occupational therapy. Now, to understand promotion, we have to understand a little bit more about marketing itself. For example, inbound marketing, and again, market means the consumer or the customer or the client, and it could be one that we have now or potential ones. And a client doesn't have to be an individual, it can be a whole population of people. So we want to find out what those people want, what their needs are, and can we meet those needs. So inbound marketing is very important because it allows us to analyze the competition and to position our services or new services to find a niche. And it also helps us, in many cases, to be able to price our services. Now, the other side of the coin is what we call outbound marketing. And to me, that's the fun part of marketing, and that's where promotion lies. This is an extremely important aspect that we all need to understand. So, I want to share with you an example of promotion. Anybody recognize this woman? Bess Meyerson. Bess Meyerson was the first Jewish Miss America. And let's listen to an example of public service announcement.
Probably all asking the same question. What are you going to do now? Oh, they've probably thrown out all kinds of suggestions, but it's your future and the decision must be yours. Hi, this is Bess Meyerson. If you're not sure which direction you're going in, consider this for a moment. A life filled with helping others, the satisfaction of helping someone overcome a handicap. A life filled with day-to-day challenges. A career as an occupational therapist. An occupational therapist is a skilled and vital member of a medical team whose job is to help people overcome physical or mental disabilities. If you want a life filled with the reward of helping people resume useful and productive lives, picture yourself as an occupational therapist. You'll have the satisfaction of helping an accident victim return to his normal activities, helping the older citizen, and the very young as well. If you want a career as up-to-date as tomorrow, then consider occupational therapy. For more information, write to...
So what do you think of that? Great. That was 1960. Is that unbelievable? So I'm just a sideline here. In my Slagle, in preparing the Slagle lecture, I went to the AOTA library in Bethesda, Maryland, AOTF library, and I truly dug through things. I found 45 records. You know what a 45 record, like in jukebox is? Okay. And I asked AOTA, what were they? And they said, well, in the 60s we had public service announcements. So that's, you know what public service announcements are. They're free. They're not necessarily free, but they're advertising. They're usually very, very short. And they said, well, we've had these here, and we don't know what's on them. So I took them, and we digitized them at BU, and we have unbelievable, rich public service announcements that can be used now. Unbelievable. Soupy Sales, anybody remember Soupy Sales? Pie in the Sky. He was a comedian who threw pies at people. Anyhow, we had lots of those as well. So again, that was just an example. Was that inbound marketing or outbound marketing? Okay, who's remembering? Elliot, do you remember? You're going to get a prize. I'm not sure what it is, but maybe a prize. Thank you. Okay, outbound marketing. So I want to give you an example of outbound marketing that every single one of you can do. How many of you have business cards? Raise your hands. Excellent. Okay, so every time you have a business card, you should give 2 out. 2 business cards always should be given out. Why 2? Yeah, you heard me say that already. You're right. So it's for you to keep one, and then you're having a conversation with someone, and you say, wow, you know, I met Elliot Saltzman, and he's doing this cool research. Here's his card. So that person has just promoted you. Okay? 2 business cards. Next time I see all of you, how many business cards are you going to give out? 2. I'll take them now, 2. So the most important outbound marketing, however, is still word of mouth. Study shows that clients trust their friends and family for recommendations. A personal experience or retelling that experience to a friend or a family member has still been the greatest impact on brand or reputation. Personal interactions created strong impressions, and our goal must be to communicate the value and the benefit of our profession in every interaction. Here's where we need to lead by example. Always identify yourself as whatever professional you are. For me, it would be, I'm an occupational therapist. You want to share what you do with everybody, wherever you are. If you're standing in line in the supermarket, if you're on a plane, talk to them. When Elliot and I were flying over here, I got up to get a little treat because I was hungry, and I talked to the flight attendant, and We were just chatting, and they said, what do you do? I explained I was an OT. What do you think they said to me? What is it? By the time we finished, they said, oh my God, you know, I'm thinking about maybe making a career change. So you never know. You never know. Okay? So I am going to guess that those people went home and said, I met this crazy American on the plane. She told me about this career called occupational therapy. And now I'm going to look into it. Maybe it's a good match for me. Now, 2, 3, 4 more people know about the profession. I call this the what is it in me factor. Again, these people go home, they share their interaction, and they pass it along to others. I'm going to shift now, because I don't want to run out of time, to how we can use social media, marketing, social marketing media to promote our professions. My challenge before I do that to you is to ask your clients to share their own success stories with their friends and family. And I challenge you to take these stories yourself and to bring them to the media. The media has way too many negative things in as news. How about sharing some of these success stories? Who's going to do that? Who's going to take on my challenge? I want every hand up. Come on. You can do it, and I know we've done it. Okay, so I'm going to shift to social media, and particularly right now, social marketing. In today's cultural and business climate, marketing efforts are increasingly focused on social marketing and the use, again, of social media outlets. Social marketing takes the techniques of marketing and deploys them in order to have a positive societal change. In the US, the American Occupational Therapy Association did this over 12 years ago, and many of you are familiar with our National School Backpack Awareness Day. How many people are aware of that? Absolutely. This is my baby, as we would say it. This campaign now has entered into its 12th year, but we actually started it before it became that formal, a few more years before that. It is the longest running social marketing initiative by any occupational therapy association in the world. Thousands and thousands of occupational therapy practitioners and students have used the tagline, "Pack it right, wear it light," to reach tens of thousands of children, their families, teachers, and administrators. And it really underscores our role in helping students actively engage in promoting healthy living choices. A campaign such as this increases a health profession's visibility and credibility, and it creates it among populations that we may not think that we would be reaching or have the ability to reach. Most of us who are working with children are working with children who might have illnesses or disabilities, but not the general population. It also helps us reach niche markets of populations. And in this, for example, we reach the MTV population. Anybody know MTV?
Rumor has it the most dangerous thing in school, aside from cafeteria food, could be the pack on your back. Too many books and your spine on a line? That's what the myth says.
You can shrink or something.
Do the math. Pack, back, out of whack. But are most kids in danger of the old droop? We got a school principal to weigh in on the poop.
I'm Dave Legacki, principal of Webster Middle School. And this we're discussing is whether or not kids' backpacks are overloaded and causing them health problems. And I don't believe that that's necessarily the case.
So says the Teach.
Backpack Safety America!
That's right, the training video is from an organization that says backpacks are an abomination.
Besides the weight, kids are carrying their backpacks incorrectly, and you'll see them with a backpack, one strap on one shoulder. You might actually even see them dragging the backpack along. You'll see kids fooling around with each other with the backpacks, and their center of gravity gets off when the backpack is so heavy that kids are actually looking like turtles tipping over. You have to be very careful what you tell the media. They love the turtle thing, and it goes on, but it was more embarrassing. This was a television show. It's called, as you see, The Big Urban Myth, and they found that this was not a myth, that it was actually true. What was so interesting about this is that we reached a group of people. Who would ever think of reaching kids on MTV? This is really a social marketing initiative that has a life of its own and has really helped in the US make occupational therapy more well known. Could we do this in Israel? Absolutely, and I hope you'll consider doing that. Now, although the concept of social marketing predates the internet has given us a decided advantage, and it's so much easier to spread messages to a wide audience. Now, social media itself, or what some people call social networking, are a group of internet-based applications that build on the ideology and the technology of the foundation of Web 2.0. And you're familiar with these things, like Facebook, again, and Twitter, and LinkedIn. Wikipedia, for our students. We don't let our students use Wikipedia, but everybody uses Wikipedia. That's an example of a collaborative project of social media. There's virtual games, Second Life. These all create a world that we can tap to use. So let me give you some numbers. And these numbers I got about 2 months ago, and I'm sure it's changed. Facebook, as we know, is the most widely used social media site with 845 million active users. LinkedIn has 150 million users. And Twitter currently has 200. But of all of these social media outlets, the one that has the most influence that we have seen so far is YouTube. YouTube has 3 billion video views per week and is the largest search engine following Google. Unbelievable. Clifton and Mann found that YouTube videos increase engagement, critical awareness, and facilitated deeper learning in student nurses. And we know that we use them in OT and communication and PT all the time. Social media is considered a hybrid of promotion and a highly amplified, magnified form of word of mouth. And consumers are turning more frequently to social media to conduct information searches and aid in healthcare decisions. How many of you go on social media to find out about a disease, or to find out about buying a car, or could be anything else? Everybody is doing it, and we have to be there. So these outlets are extremely important to us. So I'd like to share now, because I don't want to run out of time. I think I have 10 more minutes. What do you think? About 15? 15? Who said 12? You've been counting? All right, give me a 5-minute warning. Okay, I'm just joking. I've been watching my clock this time. I'd like to share 2 uses of initiatives in social marketing that I've used. And I'm going to share with you one that failed and one that was successful. So besides being an occupational therapist, I'm a Rotarian. And I think many of you are familiar with Rotary clubs. It's a service club, one of the largest in the world. We have 1.2 million Rotarians in 166 countries, including Israel. And Rotarians do something called service above self. We volunteer our time, we help with community activities, we help in global activities. We're the service club that's helping to eradicate polio. That's one of our niches. In Israel, you have very popular the Lions Club, a service club which helps to children with visual issues. So I thought, let's use Rotary as a perfect way of marketing, promoting occupational therapy, because every Rotary Club, every week, they meet weekly, has to have a speaker. And wouldn't it be great if I use social media, I'll design a little presentation, and OTs around the world will contact their local Rotary Club and say, could I come and speak? It didn't happen. What happened is that occupational therapists and students got back to me, and they said they were nervous about public speaking, and that they just didn't want to do it. And so the people that you see here, 2 of them are me, and the other one are 2 students that took a course with me, and their requirement was to talk to Rotary in India. Nava Ratson in Israel did do it. She's the only person who did. She went to the Lions Club and spoke to them about OT. So I realized this social media initiative bombed. So I sat back and I said, how can I still do something that will be successful? I'm preparing for my SLAGL. It's participatory action learning. I want to do something that I can share, something that's successful. So I sat back and I said that OTs are masters of action, and perhaps I have to take a different approach. So I shifted gears and started a social media initiative called Occupational Therapy Global Day of Service. And it was on February 25th, 2012. It was modeled after an initiative that Boston University did, where they had the alumni paired with students around the world. And the alumni in different countries would set up service activities, and the students would go and work with them. That seemed too complicated. I didn't have enough time to do that. So what we did was I applied social marketing and social marketing media to this initiative. And what I did was I defined service as any unpaid activity, and you only had to do an hour of it, and you could find it around your community. You could pick up trash, you could walk a friend's dog, you could read a book, you could do whatever you want. But I realized that we needed a little bit of an incentive for people doing it. So I contacted a publisher, Slack, who's a well-known publisher in the US, and many of the textbooks that you use here are published by them. And I said, I'm doing this OT Global Day of Service. Would you consider helping me by making a donation based on the number of participants in OT Global Day of Service? And they said, sure. Now they were smart, weren't they? Because social marketing, they were getting all this PR too, and we were using social media for everything. They said, sure. And I said, well, where are we going to donate this money? Who is in the press and not doing anything naughty? So we picked UNICEF, and hopefully UNICEF will stay pretty high. It depends on what country, but UNICEF is still a good organization. So all the proceeds from participation will go to UNICEF. It worked out really well. We knew that we had to give some examples of what people could do. So we put these elevator speeches on our website called Promoting OT. And it said you can mentor. And when you spoke to somebody on a one-to-one, you could describe OT and how it might have value to you. Instead of standing up in front of a Rotary meeting, which made people nervous, and we understand public speaking is scary, you could do this by your service. You could wear a t-shirt. You could wear a hat that said, I'm an OT. People liked it. And on our website, we had lots of different activities. But we wanted to make this very much evidence-based. So we looked at the evidence literature and came up with a framework to use, and it's a social media functionality. And this honeycomb helped us understand what we needed to do to get people active. We had 3 phases to the initiative. We built a website and built a brand. We developed a tagline, changing the world through volunteering, and a logo. When I say we, it was me, 2 students, and my friend in Florida who is a social media guru. And she did it all for free. This is our website, still exists. We put lots of activities on it. The next thing we needed was to connect. And here's where we had to find people. What I did here was to send out a message about this initiative to everybody I knew on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. I asked AOTA if they would help, and I asked WFOT, World Federation of OTs, and they said yes. and they sent out these messages. You have to have 150 contacts to make it work. If you don't have that, it makes it hard, and we had plenty. So my people started becoming the messengers. It became a pay it forward. We had, and I hate using this word viral, we had a viral effect. It went viral around the world. We asked people to put up YouTube videos to promote the event, and here's a very short excerpt of this one.
Hi, my name is Jordan Bell, and I'm an occupational therapy student at Western Michigan University, and I'm proud to be coordinating WMU's participation in the first annual OT Global Day of Service.
And what better way to promote OT than through giving back to our community and participating in this great global event?
Okay, we had 9 videos that students and people made. They were viewed 3,000 times. These like nothing, very easy to make videos. It was quite remarkable. So I'm going to do this very fast so you don't get nauseous. We had 2,500 occupational therapy practitioners and students from 24 countries promote and participate in OT Global Day of Service. We reached an estimated 10,000 people. We planned this in 2 months, only using social media. We had 4,000 visits to our Promoting OT website. They were from people from 101 countries speaking 69 languages. And 1 in every 8 visit came from a mobile user, a mobile browser, which really underscores the importance of mobile technology. They found us through a direct search, 33% of them, by our web address, which shows that our messages were getting through and people were remembering them. Here's some examples of our social media very quickly. On Facebook, we had 1,800 friends. This is 2 months. On Twitter, we had 321 followers, and now we have hundreds more since the event. We had Twitter interactions. We had Twitter mentions, and that's where people are passing along what we were doing. On LinkedIn, we had 150 members from 50, and we had 57 group discussions. This is 2 months. It's amazing. But we used something called a Hootsuite, which is a social media management tool. I'm telling you, there were 3 people that was working. Actually, it was really 2. It was really Carl Schwartz and myself doing all of the social media. How are we doing this daily? We sent out sometimes 3 tweets a day. We had a social media management tool which we could have all 3 of our major social media outlets up, and we customized the messages, and they automatically went out. Totally free. So I want to share in my last 2 minutes. Is that all right? I'm looking at my clock. It looks like I have 2 minutes. How much time do I have? 4. I have 4 minutes. Okay. Some of the things that people did. And at schools, students helped and faculty built a universal design. In California, high school students who were part of an anti-bullying club started putting together packages for soldiers and sent them over. In New York, they were doing some bowling with kids as a nice activity for kids with special needs. At Penn State, they were making care bags for veterans. I love this quote, "We had a great time." So people did this and had fun together. This was interesting. You'd appreciate this. They had a polar plunge. This is in Maine. The water must have been 50 degrees, maybe 40 degrees. Who knows what it was. They went in the water and made a donation for whoever plunged the water to a camp for children. We did random acts of kindness in Michigan. And kids went up to Alaska and helped at a cafe in Alaska. Students went to a food bank and put together lots of food as donations. But the most surprising and exciting one is this, and I want you to watch this for a moment. In Slovenia, I never even knew where Slovenia was. Watch this. They fell in love with promoting OT, and they brought in colleagues of other professions, and they put this together for us. Okay, and you'll say that Israel is small and the media may not be interested. I got phone calls from Slovenia from reporters, and they did stories about this. They were passionate about promoting OT, and you can be too. So I'm going to conclude with, I'll shut this off. I'm going to conclude with, I could go on for about 15 more minutes, but I'm going to conclude with a quote from Yogi Berra. Everybody know who Yogi Berra is? Yeah. He said, predictions are hard, especially when they're about the future. And I agree. We do live in uncertain and unpredictable times. But one way to capitalize on the unpredictable is to embed occupational therapy into everything we do, to embed our profession and the value of our professions into everything we do. There's an occupational therapist in Australia who posts all the time on Facebook. And he said something like, if we work together, we can change the world. And it echoes a very famous Margaret Mead quote that if you correspond with me, you'll see it's at the end of all of my emails. And I quote, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, concerned citizens can change the world. Indeed, you are all concerned citizens, and you can change the face of society in Israel." Thank you very much.